And what we've been talking about right now is going into what the side effects are if you're giving drugs to children who have, or adults who have ADD and ADHD or even our Down syndrome, right? All right, so the information is very, very important. So I hope everybody has a piece of paper and a pencil nearby. We want to go into some really good information about this. And also, I understand that you're having an event that's coming on, so we want to talk about that too. Okay, so looking at your recent article that's on ADD and ADHD drug alternatives, I see that quoting current research about the side effects. What are they? Tell us about them.
Well, they're actually effects. There are no side effects. There are all effects of the drugs. They're just the undesirable effects. In both my opinion and Dr. Dickens at the Healing Pathways Medical Clinic, in our opinion, any parent who puts their child on a highly addictive Schedule II drug like Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Vyvanse, or Focalin, they don't understand the impact or the consequences, the ramifications in the long term of doing this. The child on these behavioral modification drugs, it raises their test scores initially, but after 1 year, it's only 3 points in their math scores. That's all they've gained. By the third year on the medication, the child is back to ground zero with no developmental progress and back academically where he would have been without the drugs. By the third year, the drug dosage is up to 41% more on average. By the third year of medication, this child is 3/4 of an inch shorter than the average child without meds, 6 pounds lighter, and they also have permanent brain atrophy. And the child on these drugs is 7 times more likely to experience sudden death. All these are documented in my article. The career choices of this child are now limited. They cannot get into the armed forces without a special waiver. They cannot be an officer in the military. They're disqualified from becoming a commercial airline pilot and many other things just from being on these drugs even as a child. So I do have all these well documented in my article.
And the article can be found on the website?
Actually, it's being posted. It's being published in several magazines.
Okay, but if somebody wants the article, they can get you. They can either email you at Craig at healingpathwaysmedical.com. Go on his website. I'm sure you can get the email from there too. The number is, his email is healingpathwaysmedical.com. And his phone number to reach him is area code 480-820-6695. So tell us a little bit about that. You're having an event, I understand. What is it that you're having?
Well, we do a lot of public seminars, 2 to 3 a week, and most of them are certified for teacher certification, Arizona Department of Education, continuing education, professional development, CEUs. It's a lot to say. Arizona Supportive Child Care, ASCC, the Arizona Board of Behavioral Health Examiners, and some of these professionals can get their CEUs from this. Specifically, tomorrow we're doing one on speech and language development. And this is a 3-hour workshop at Buster's, which is on Hayden in Scottsdale. It's a restaurant, and it goes from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And we will cover speech and language development from conception to completion. We will cover the different aberrations in speech and language development and the different therapies to bring the functions of speech and language up to higher levels. Specifically, we'll cover some of the course content will be early brain development, receptive and expressive functions in speech and language development, fetal and early development nutritional needs, how mobility and tactile function affect speech and language development, brain organization, how it affects receptive and expressive functions. We're going to talk about autism and the disorganized brain, because a disorder is about disorder. It's where you've lost the order. You do not have order in the brain. And then we'll complete it with therapies for speech and language development, and we'll have a lot of class interaction and questions and answers.
Now, that's tomorrow. And what time?
It's from 11 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
11 to 2 at Buster's, and that's in where, Mesa?
No, that's in Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale, okay. And is that information on your website?
Yes, it's under upcoming seminars.
Great. So go on the website to upcoming seminars, and that's healingpathwaysmedical.com. Again, his phone number is area code 480-820-6695. I know you want to go into some more information, but quickly, before we came on, you said that a lot of people like to know a little bit how you got into this. Can you quickly say something about that?
Sure. Well, as a child, I had polio. So even now, I have what's called post-polio syndrome. And between that and I was the oldest of 8 kids. And I developed a love for child development working with these children. And I didn't walk till I was almost 5 years old. And at that time, my parents had bought for me one of those red metal fire trucks. And just the pushing action of my feet pumping those pedals patterned my brain. And within a few weeks, I was walking. And my question is, how come we didn't know this sooner? Mm-hmm. How come somebody didn't tell my parents how to help me develop? And the fact is that the healthy part of the brain will take over the function of an injured part if you send the signals. So that's the principles we use when we're working brain development in the brain-injured child or the child who's been knocked backwards in brain development, in particular like the child with autism.
And again, go on his website because you'll get a lot of information there. Also, let me give that out. That's healingpathwaysmedical.com. And again, his phone number is area code 480-820-6695. Now, do you have any closing statements?
Yes. One thing I'd like to say is that every child is born a potential genius. And this is a country with the greatest economy of all times. We have the best resources, the biggest government, the best academic programs in the world, a world-class medical system, and we've got specialists oozing out of every corner. And yet we have a child that fails. I would like to say that we don't have any children that fail. We fail the child. We fail to reach that child where they need to be reached. And we fail to develop that child into the potential genius that he is. And what happens is the parents fail to pursue and find the right answers. The daycare workers have become the frontline battle troops for our developing child. The academic system fails to reach and teach the child who falls through the cracks because the child doesn't fit the cookie-cutter design of the academic plans. The parents place a misguided trust in the child's medical doctors who assure the parents that drugs or surgeries are the solutions. And the medical system fails to examine or even sometimes acknowledge the developmental issues in the failing, quote-unquote, failing child. And finally, the government attempts to step in to the crisis and design an intervention program. And it's limited by its the weighty bulk of its own bureaucracy, and they design a program that's for the collective problem. And what we're in is a blizzard, and every child here is a snowflake, and we've got millions of children in this snowflake. The fact is, when I started in this field, it was 1 out of about every 800 children were diagnosed as a child with autism. Now we're down to about 1 out of every 140 children. And each child is a snowflake, and their development is specific to the input they've had in their environment, their social input, the medical things going on in their life. Perhaps there's some neurotoxicity going on because of a fungal overgrowth or metal toxicity. And we're a naturopathic medical clinic. So we look at the whole child. We're looking at the gut dysbiosis, the bacteria balance in the body. We're looking at how the brain is developing and myelinating. We're looking for subclinical problems that can be helping or that can be causing the aberrations, the problems. And we're not going to label the child with autism. What we're going to do is we're going to find the different causes of the problems that we're seeing, and then we're going to develop solutions. We're going to develop therapies. We're going to develop a plan to get this child back to where they need to be.
That's phenomenal. I mean, you said a lot there, and I'm going to tell everybody to go on the website because we all have somebody in our lives that we know who has ADHD or ADD or some sort of trouble, and instead of just giving them drugs, let's go to another route.